Hello friends, it's Ellery James Roberts back here again with Song of the Self, where I'm looking to bring a mytho-poetic inquiry to the songwriting process. I believe our songs can work as illuminating mirrors, reflecting back to us the depths of our psyches, our souls perhaps. This is what I look to offer through the mentorship that I have begun, and I'm using these videos to bring the practice to my own songs. So today I'm going to be looking into my song, gazing into my song, The Breath of Light, which will lead me to tell a story that is deeply intimate, personal to me. The near-death experience I had when I was 14 years old. It's a story that I've only told to a few in my life, but this moment for me, there's an impulse of somewhat of a self-revealing. I feel like I've, perhaps wisely so, spent the past few years very much internally, and I feel drawn in this moment to speak to another, to share my experience of life with another, and to do it through my art, to do it through my songs. So telling this story will also bring, there was a question asked last time by Joe, I believe, about who is Karoo. And this song, in a way, answers that question. Or at least I will bring an answer to that question through telling the story of the song. All right, first up I'm going to sing it to you, so you're familiar with it. And then I'll explore the lyrics, the process, and yes, the story of where it came from. All right, first I need my guitar, and there it is, and now I shall sing. Seemed afterwards me through an angelic canopy, and with salvation's breath pour himself into my lungs. My Savior has come, what's love? What's love got to say to questions and fate, my love? 'Cause I've been trying my best to keep up the buzz, and I'd be lying if I said I never questioned what it is worth. 'Cause I'm trying, but I'm dying. I feel love break beneath the waves. No one let them hold me. No one let them hold me down. And no more. I breathe the breath of life. See your eyes with beauty, indifferent to mortality, and holding my seven ribs like a mountain made to fall. She collapses in emotion to drown me, and I wouldn't take this breath if he hadn't dove down and found me. 'Cause I've been trying my best to keep up the buzz, I'd be lying if I said never question what is worth. 'Cause I'm trying, yeah, I'm trying, but I'm dying. I feel like break beneath the weight. No one let them hold me. No one let them hold me down. No one let them hold me. No one let them hold me down. It's all I got, but it's enough to breathe and dying light of love. Yeah, it's enough to breathe and dying light of love. Oh, it's enough to breathe and dying light of love. I wasn't with breaking over me. 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 No one let them hold me. No one let them hold me down. No one let them hold me. No one let them hold me down. No more. I'm breathing breath of life. All right, I'll get rid of this guitar. And we're back in the room. So that was the breath of light. That was the breath of light. This song appears on the second Lost Under Heaven record, Love Hates What You Become. It's a record we recorded in Los Angeles with John Congleton. It's a record in truth. The production, the performance, I've never loved. I've come to accept as the years have gone by. I was very unhappy with it at the time. I think that song in particular has so much potential for grace and beauty that comes across almost quite violently, very raw, very rough in the performance, in the recording. But perhaps that is my own vulnerability. Perhaps the beauty is in its rawness, in its rough and readiness. I wrote the song in the year before, but as I spoke at the beginning, its real impetus, or is my first attempt, perhaps I will now go on to write more about it after telling this story, but it was my first attempt at putting into words, putting into song, this experience of nearly drowning when I was 14 years old. I'm going to tell the story because I feel it brings some context to the lyrics, and then I'll explore the lyrics word by word. So, I grew up in a northern mill town called Ramsbottom, where I now reside. And as a teenager, I fell in love with skateboarding. I'd spent all my time skateboarding. And my family, we began going to Brittany on holidays, to a caravan park. And whilst I was there, close to the sea, I experienced surfing for the first time, surfers. And being relatively good at skateboarding, I was kind of a natural on the surfboard. So This was perhaps the summer. I did some surf lessons in a group, and I loved it. And I started to fancy myself as a pretty good surfer. I could catch a wave. I could make a move. And then it was an autumn half-term holiday. I was 14 from school. We went to this caravan again, and I had read about this beach called La Torche, I believe. The Torch. It has this beautiful rocky peninsula, and at the end of the rocky peninsula, I'm not exactly sure how it was put there. It almost looks like it's put there by man, but there's a big rock that kind of looks like the flame of a candle. And I believe this is why it's called La Torche, because that's like the torch at the end of the headland. This beach was a notorious surfing beach, regarded as one of the best in the region. So I convinced my parents to drive me there so I could go and surf those waves. And, this all that goes without saying, I was naive, very much naive. But we get to the beach, my parents and my sisters are still getting out the car, but I'm lightning fast, get on my wetsuit, grab the surfboard and run down into the sea. And I recall it was a dark, stormy day, not dissimilar to the day today. The sky and the sea were both a slate gray, very brooding, very stormy. But I ran out, there's many other surfers in the water, and I got out and I went to the sort of area where most people were, and I caught a few waves. I came back to shore. I was feeling pretty confident, pretty good in myself. And then, being the sort of precocious, arrogant and naive teenager that I was, I thought, this is easy. I want to challenge myself. I can see some other surfers a bit further back catching bigger waves. A madness, right? But I in that moment was like, I'm going to go for that. And so I paddled out, and I got to the bigger waves. So here's a context that I didn't know. There's a very strong rip current in this water. And as I paddled out, I was pulled, I think, to the left, more so than I had wanted. And I could see the other surfers to the right, but I was being dragged to the left. And the waves were getting bigger and bigger, and I was getting closer and closer to that rocky peninsula. I was pulled down by a big wave, completely knocked off the surfboard, pulled under the water, and held under for 10, 20, 30 seconds, kind of thrown about, churned in the grind of the ocean. And I came up for breath. This was intense, but I was like, okay, get back on the board. And then I was knocked off the board again, pulled under. And by the time coming up, perhaps the second or third time of just being pulled into the ocean, pulled about by the waves, I started to panic. I started to think, this is not good. This is a danger zone. I could see the rocky peninsula, and I thought to myself, maybe if I could just swim, paddle there, I could get off the board and I could climb onto those rocks. Again, a madness as the waves were smashing into those rocks violently. Nonetheless, I began to do that, but without the knowledge of the ocean. I was paddling into the rip current. So I wasn't going anywhere, and I was exhausting myself, and I was being knocked off the board, pulled under the water. And this went on for a period of time that, I don't know. It was maybe a 20, 30, 25 minutes of this ordeal, shall we say, going on. Pulled under the water, exhausted. I recall very much going through all the stages that they talk about, right? So at first, this is not happening to me. I'll get out of this. I'll be fine. And then panic. And then despair. Complete sense of this is happening. I am dying. I am consuming so much water. I'm coming up, gasping for breath and then being pulled down again, gasping for breath and then being pulled down again. I am dying. I am dying. I remember that thought very strongly in my mind. And following that thought comes somewhat of a acceptance, exhaustion. I recall just letting go, floating into the water. And at this point, this is the part of the story that I rarely tell, but I'm going to tell it today. At this point, all from the darkness of the water became bright, became light, became a milky, golden, warm, glowing light. And I suddenly felt wonderful, blissful perhaps. Sort of this feeling that perhaps maybe you have on a Sunday morning where you wake and you know you don't need to do anything. And you just pull that warm blanket around you and you just relax and lay there. And I felt this, and I felt a goodness, just a okayness, a goodness. All is okay. And then, I tell this truly, over the years I've read more about NDEs, and people talk about quite fantastical things, which I don't deny in their experience, but in my experience, all I heard was a voice, a feminine voice. I remember it being distinctly feminine. And all it said is, "This is not your time. This is not your time." And the next thing I know, there's strong hands on me, and I'm being pulled onto my surfboard. I'm back in the cold, the pain, the kind of half consciousness, and I'm pulled onto a surfboard. I forget whether it was my surfboard or another's. I remember feeling a body over me, and I am put on a wave, and I come back to shore, just kind of lying there, half conscious, barely conscious. The board comes to the beach. I stagger onto the sand, vomit liters of water. My parents are running towards me. There's a man, a French surfer, a Breton surfer, perhaps I should say. I recall his voice speaking quite angrily to my parents. And then he left. Went back into the water after checking that, I was alive. Left me to my parents, who are, of course, white-faced, stricken with panic, with grief. My mother later said to me that she was stood there looking out to sea, being, "Is this how it goes? Have I lost my son?" So this is what the breath of light is about. Karoo is the name that I gave to the anonymous surfer, the savior, my savior in that moment. Karoo was a small beach, a little cove, which I loved, that was near the caravan that we went to. And I guess I liked the name because it reminded me of Jack Kerouac. There's probably nothing more profound to it than that, but I just really loved the beach. And this is, the anonymous surfer. I gave him a name, Karoo. And in my imagination over the years, he became this figure of, perhaps you could say, selfless service, of skill, of mastery. He saved my life. He maybe saved other people's lives. He didn't stay around to receive thanks. It just is what a human does for another human when they're in need. I owe my life to this person, whoever it may be. And Karoo's lament, I could simply say this imaginal figure of Karoo. The song was his lament at the state of the world, the state of what my life had become. A point that I didn't say also in the last video on lament, I actually got the word Karoo, the name Karoo, tattooed across my neck just after finishing recording the song and just before moving to Amsterdam, where I made the video for the song and released it. And in later years, one of the mentors that has been very profound in my coming to grips with my life experience mentioned initiation scars and how me getting this tattoo was, in essence, it was a reminder that I now live with of this figure of Karoo, who, yeah, I could say is somebody I put up towards a icon. I know many people have this. That figure might be Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, whoever it may be. Somebody they look towards as a figure of to orient towards, a potential to orient towards. So to speak of it, I didn't feel, almost through this lens of initiation, I felt I had a glimpse of something that felt realer than real, better than life. In some ways, I could say in that moment, I no longer feared death, though it was a mystery. And the words that were spoken, that I received, "This is not your time," left me with a sense, well, if this isn't my time, then I must have a time. And one step from that is thus, there must be a purpose for which I have this life. Now, I had no context with which to talk about this experience. Those that I tried to bring it up, often in the kind of materialist, rationalist world, it's like, the brain releases chemicals. Who knows? It was a trippy experience in general, and I didn't speak about it really. And it was a moment. I was 14, that age of, in tribal cultures, that is the age they initiate young boys, but they hold them within a context where they orient them towards what it means to be a boy becoming a man, a member of a community. In the West, we don't have that. We have the initiation of drugs, alcohol, rebellion against the parents' authority. No respect for the culture that we are creating with our action. Let's talk about purpose. Let's talk about purpose for a moment. This experience left me with a deep sense of purpose. Nonetheless, it was a mysterious sense of purpose. And it is not like, here is your mission, my boy, go and do it. It is, there is a reason for your life. There is a reason for your life. And I believe this to be true. I believe this to be true for every single conscious, living being on this planet, and perhaps in the galaxy, to infinity and beyond, who can say? But for sure, this human experience, though it is hemorrhaged of meaning by our culture, though it is so often dismissed and devalued, and the societal norm is to become a subservient, obedient worker drone to perpetuate a system of exploitation. Nonetheless, there is a deeper purpose, deeper meaning. And for me, my path in songwriting has always been an inquiry into that purpose of kind of a connecting with the felt sense, that fire of our essence, of life. I feel I'll talk about purpose more in future videos. And there are some particular thoughts that I have that, already I get to the 30-minute mark. I don't want to freeze up. Have I even begun with the lyrics? Do I need to say anything about them? I see him dive towards me through an angelic canopy. There you have Karoo, diving towards me. The angelic canopy is the surface of the water, and I am below it, looking up, seeing the half-light through the water, and seeing him dive. And with salvation's breath, he pours himself into my lungs. My Savior has come. Did he give me the breath of life? Did he give me that kiss that brought Romeo back to life? To be honest, I don't know. And maybe as I deconstruct it, it's like it just becomes poetic symbolism, ways of approaching a subject that is not journalism. What's luck? What's luck got to say to questions of fate, my love? Purpose, destiny, fate. Was I fated into that moment? Was I just lucky to be alive, to be saved from a inevitable death under the waves? For I'm trying my best to keep up above, but I'd be lying if I said I've never questioned what it is worth. The existential questions of life and you're inevitably led to if you think about it at all. I'd be lying if I said I'd never questioned what it is worth. I'm trying, I'm dying. I feel life break beneath the waves. I won't let them hold me. I won't let them hold me down. There's a song I'm going to visit next time, Concrete Gold by Wu Life, which I've realized has a very similar chorus. We'll get into that next time perhaps. But I won't let them hold me down. It's the waves, but of course it is life. Don't let the bastards bring you down. I won't let them hold me down. There's clearly something in my songs where there's a spirit that feels repressed, that is striving to become liberated. This is kind of clear to me and probably clear to anyone who has listened to them. What that spirit is, well, that's the purpose of this inquiry, for me to know, and perhaps for you to share in that knowing and feel it in yourself. See her rise with beauty, indifferent to mortality, holding my severed wrists like a mountain made to fall. She collapses in emotion to drown me. She is the ocean. She rises with beauty. There is nothing more beautiful than an ocean wave. It's one of the great beauties of creation. And yet, there's an indifference. The ocean was just being the ocean. It wasn't drowning me out of malice. The force of nature was something my naive, reckless teenage self was yet to be humbled by. Holding my severed wrist, that's an allusion to this scar. And also, Ebony holding my scar when we first met. Holding my severed wrists, like a mountain made to fall, the height of the waves collapsing upon me. She collapses in emotion to drown me, submerged in love, a ferocious grace of love. I don't really recall much about writing this song other than this one short story, which I'll end now with maybe a little foolish humor to end it. Once again, my dear friend Mino comes up. He seems to be a lucky talisman in my songwriting. We had been smoking hash, as we tend to do, and Ebony doesn't do that. And I get kind of funny when I'm been smoking, and a lot of thoughts, a lot of action. Everyone had been going to sleep. Me and Ebony are on this airbed, creaking airbed. I'm probably acting strangely, and Ebony starts to make me laugh in her mischievous way that she sometimes takes. And I laugh so much that I start choking and coughing. And I have to stagger out of bed, and it kind of goes from like funny to like, whoa, you're properly choking. And these words, my breath, it's all I've got. Something like this comes into my mind, and I write them, after I've stopped choking. I don't write it whilst I'm choking. I kind of calm down. Ebony's like, whoa, chill, calm down. I write these words. I later realize they're something that Patti Smith says in this, that Super 8 film. I can't think of the title now, but there's a Super 8 film that there is of Patti Smith, and she says it. It's a beautiful film. Something of life. Anyway, I wrote down these words, and in the morning I am playing Mino's kind of creaky, as this very nice, creaky old acoustic guitar, and I come to the chords that are the verse chords, and this, my breath is all I've got, line that I wrote the night before, brings me to this story that I've told of the near-death experience, of almost drowning, of that breath of life, that breath of light, that which animates us, that which we are all in a reciprocal relationship, breathing in life, breathing out life. The plant life mirrors our breath, and we live the breath of life, the breath of that golden, milky white light. That I believe is what lies beneath the world of forms. That is the unified field. That is consciousness itself. And that is the fire in the heart of the cave, where we fascinate ourselves with those shadows on the wall. I'll no doubt talk about these things more and more as I continue in this series. But for today, that was the breath of light. Thank you for your time, your attention. And if you have any thoughts, comments, anything you'd like to share with me, I do enjoy reading it and responding to it, should I see fit. Thank you very much. Goodbye.